Hey, good evening. Hope you all are having a good weekend coming into mid-February here. Not much to look at outside, but we do have Venus and Mars to the southwest, and you can see at the very top there a satellite goes by and an airplane, just kind of coincidence there. But yeah, you can look up to the southwest and see that, and Mars is unmistakable, very red appearance there. And you can probably see a tiny bit of a disk if you have a pair of binoculars there. So anyway, let's check out the weather across the U.S. We've had another hot day on the Great Plains. And let me pull up the chart here for the high temperatures. Well, there's the temperature anomaly right there. You can see a lot of the U.S. is above normal. Here's the temperatures we had. And especially you can see in Texas, lots of 90s. We have 94 there at Canadian and 95 at Childress and even 98 at Vernon. Temperatures very strange for this time of year. 90s pretty much in this entire area right there. And we've seen almost 80s up into Kansas, but we've had a bit of a cold front coming south. And that's going to rapidly change the weather over the next couple days as that pushes southward. Out to the west, though, we've got the next system moving down from California. And you see the temperatures are a little bit cooler there in the San Joaquin Valley. Got the cold air mass pushing through Southern California right now. This is the high-resolution rapid refresh model. And you can see they were forecasting earlier. This is actually a forecast we're looking at because I wanted to kind of see the extent of the precipitation it was trying to break out. And you can see there's a strong tendency for it to develop along the mountains. So these are mostly orographically induced. And you see there's a very strong diurnal pattern to these because this is in the vicinity of that cold core low. So this is a 3Z. This is coming up in about an hour or two. And then most of it is gone by midnight. But still looks like a little bit of higher base stuff inland towards Baker and Los Angeles. Radar looking pretty quiet out there right now. That's the radar north of Santa Barbara. And just a quick look at the showers we had earlier today. You can see they're mostly on the mountaintops there. Los Angeles located right there, and these are the main showers we had today earlier. One of my viewers reported near March Air Force Base a funnel cloud, but nothing from SPC, so that was probably one of those cold air funnels there. 500 millibar chart showing mostly zonal flow across the U.S. So the main polar front jet action looking like that, maybe a bit of a split flow. So with the trough being offshore and the ridge inland, we're going to be looking for that cold front to be somewhere in this area right here. So Arizona into the Four Corners region. Now another tool we can look at to find the front is the 850 millibar chart. One problem we have with 850, especially out in the western U.S., 850 is up at 5,000 feet, so that's going to intersect the ground in a lot of places. So this will help you mostly up in the northeast U.S. and in the Great Plains. And indeed, we can see a bit of a isotherm gradient right here. Temperatures 11 Celsius there in the Quad Cities. That's about 52 Fahrenheit. Decreasing rapidly to -8 in northern Minnesota. So that kind of clues you in that the front is kind of right in this area here. And we can actually bring it down into Kansas because we can see some northwest flow there at 850 with temperatures of 12, kicking that southward. So the 850 millibar front is probably going to look something like this here. And we use hollow barbs and pips to show where the 850 front is, where any upper air front is. And that's probably going to go all the way out to Utah and then out towards the California area. And this is a chart we're going to use more and more as we get into the spring months. Okay, so we went through the 500 millibar chart. We've seen the radar. And we can look at the water vapor imagery now, because the system is moving inland into the Rocky Mountain region. So the rule of thumb that we use for finding the jet and the surface fronts, we bring the jet in back where this dry air is, along the back side of the system and along the north side. So that's going to be kind of our starting location. And then most of the baroclinicity is going to be out in front of that, so we're looking for probably the cold front just out ahead of it, kind of in this area here. And we can see definitely looks a little bit showery there in Utah and Arizona. But the bulk of the upper air energy is pushing on off to the east, and you can see the cold core out over the Southern California area. So most of the support we have here is just basically convective instability. And that'll be out of the picture soon, and things should clear up pretty well here in California before the next system comes in. It's been one right after the other. All right, let's do our thermal analysis real quick. Now we can start kind of hardening in where the fronts are. Looks pretty cut and dry through the Great Plains, going through Kansas, St. Louis, and Cincinnati. And then we kind of trace that out towards northern Arizona and into the Yuma and Mexicali area. And there's the cold core low right there, showing at 850, just off the LA, Santa Barbara, Ventura area off the coast. And I wish we had some better soundings in California to really look at this. I can probably show you the Vandenberg sounding. And we have to keep in mind that that's along the coast. So this is not really going to be inland. And we see there's a pretty steep lapse rate in the lower part of the atmosphere, all the way up to about 5,000. A little bit of warm air aloft. Looks like maybe the balloon has gone into a cloud, maybe into some of that convection coming off the mountains there. And you see that little artifact right in here. That's a little bit of evaporation from where the balloon has gone through some precipitation. And the sensor is chilling as it goes out of the top of the storm or the top of the cloud. We should never have lapse rates that are any steeper than this, than the dry adiabatic lapse rate. So when I see a segment like that, I know that that's bad data. So we've got a little bit of a contaminated sounding here. But yeah, look at that very low tropopause right there in that cold core. And then the other sounding we can look at is probably San Diego. Pretty good shallow steep lapse right there near the surface. A little bit of capping in the mid-levels. But that's going to be some distance from the cold core low. That's going to be off to the southwest. So don't really have a good balloon launch inside that cold core low. We can see it, though, on the surface chart here. Northwesterly winds. I should clarify that. I mean, we can't see the cold core low at the surface, but we can see the cold air mass that is spreading into that area. So north of this line, northwesterly winds, cold air moving into Southern California, and out ahead of it, this is the tropical air mass. So this is where we're going to see showers later tonight and into Sunday, especially out in this area here. And looks like we might have a little bit of dry line activity, 21 there in Amarillo, 25 at Canadian. Contrast that with 62 here in Dallas and 63 at Tyler. Dry line becoming a little more well-defined, so we're going to put it through there. Maybe I'll try using the brown color here. Okay, so there's our dry line position, and up in Kansas we can see the cold front making its way southward. So that's going to change the conditions here over the next 24 hours. And we've also got that Pacific system approaching from the west, so there's going to be changes for tomorrow's map. Okay, now we'll go ahead and take a look at the dynamics. Let me get this chart set up and pause it. This is the 500 millibar heights and vorticity. And before I let that go, let me just take a look at the chat real quick. Got a kind of an unusually large crowd for Saturday night. Let's see, we got Andrew. Sue M is here, Mark and Kevin and Fun with Tech. Tom J there in Las Cruces, Mark and Lexi in Texas. Tom J says his weather there is changing tonight. Jason Boggs from Pampa, which is just northeast of Amarillo, 94 there. It's been pretty warm here too. It's about 81. And one of my friends got stung by a red wasp. They've started coming out. All the bugs think it is May. So hopefully we see things change here. Mark and Sarah Wood is checking in from Indiana. Mark is under a winter storm warning, 12 to 20 inches. Wow. Fred up in North Dakota there. Kevin McKinney reports highway flooding north of LA. Michael Burrell checking in. Sarah reminds us of Comet 45P. Yeah, that's a magnitude 7 comet, so that's going to be very tough to look at. But as she mentions, if you have binoculars, you might be able to pick that out. Callio Delphi, that's a new name on here. Hello. And Sarah Wood mentions a meteor that crashed into Lake Michigan last Monday. Yeah, I remember that there was a video from Lisle, Illinois, from a patrol car showing that. That was pretty good. Ancient Astronaut reporting 73 in Texas. Is there a triple point in Oklahoma? Yeah, there actually is, kind of along the Oklahoma-Kansas border. And Howard Pavillard is checking in also. Yeah, we'll see if we can find that triple point just very quickly here. Okay, so I filled in the data density a little bit better. Now the thing is that there's not a very strong dry line. The gradient from east to west is it's not what we would usually see in May and June. So we go from 20 here to 32, 41, very gradual increase to 55, and I think 59 here is about where it peaks. 59 at around the McAllister area. So with that, I would probably put the dry line right along that line. And you see down here in Fort Worth at the bottom, we go from 61 there at Denton, down to 51 around Jacksboro, 50 at Seymour. That's going to be a very fine distinction there between dry air around Wichita Falls and moist air around Dallas. So this is pretty much the dry line position right here. And we're going to get a lot of practice with this going into spring. And then the cold front itself, that's very easy to pick out. Going to be right along that line from Bartlesville to Gage and back to Boise City. And that puts the triple point right here. So if we were looking for severe weather, one of the favorite areas would be right in this area here. But with these plunging cold fronts, that does kind of throw a wrench into the works. Because with these fast-moving cold fronts, you will tend to get multi-cells out in this area here. So just to summarize, if we were looking for severe weather, this would probably be our risk area right there. But why are we not having severe weather? Well, we can take a look at the soundings. That's the first thing you should go to. And I'll pull up the Oklahoma City sounding, and we know that they are just west of the dry line. And the sounding looks a lot like the air you have behind a dry line. Very warm in the lower to mid levels, and very dry throughout the entire column. So you're not going to use this to forecast your severe weather potential, although some of this can help you with what kind of upper level temperatures are in the area. So we would probably have to look at Fort Worth. Okay, so are these temperatures here valid for 60 degree moisture? Probably so. That's about 15 Celsius right there. So if we try to construct a lift with that with 86 Fahrenheit, we're going to get a lifted parcel kind of like that right there. And there is CAPE, but it's kind of long and skinny up here. And the convective inhibition is still very strong. Not as strong as what we had yesterday. If I had to do the convective temperature, we would be looking at probably 101, 102. Yeah, so it's probably still up there. I'll take a couple more soundings out to the west, out to the east of the dry line. Shreveport, classic loaded gun right there. You can see the moisture is a little bit deeper here. So if I throw in 86 Fahrenheit and modify the sounding a bit, still got tremendous convective inhibition here. So for Shreveport, we're also looking at convective temperatures up near 100. So we are just pretty well capped. That's the reason we're not seeing any thunderstorms at this time. Now that can change with the approach of the upper level energy coming from the west. As you can see right now, we're under this ridge. There's a shortwave ridge upstream. So this is kind of one reason why we have such a strong cap. But in a couple days when we break down that ridge, things could change a little bit. But we can also lose the low-level moisture, so that's just something we have to look at for tomorrow and Monday. So dynamics-wise, what are we looking at? We're seeing the California low moving eastward, and that comes into the El Paso area Monday night. And then that works into Texas around Tuesday and Wednesday. Okay, then after that we see a ridge building into the Great Plains. There it is right there on Friday. This is the ChaserCon weekend here, starting out very nice. And then we see a major storm system coming into California over the weekend. In fact, looks like a double shot of energy. Here comes another one right here. First one is right there. There's the second one coming into California. And then a third shot. And looks like a fourth one for the 21st, 22nd. So California is going to be getting even more. And I've already heard that the Oroville Dam is, the emergency spillway is already discharging there. So there's another cold core low coming across on the 23rd. And then looks like a fourth one. How about that? So I hope it's probably a good time to get on Amazon and find some ARC plans and get started on that. Yeah, the other thing I wanted to show you, I've also got the precipitable water charts, and we should take a quick look at that. Give me a second. Let me see if I can find where I put that. Yeah, there we go. This is precipitable water. So starting out right now, this is the precipitable water, and you can see kind of a correlation with that Arizona and Southern California moisture. This should correlate somewhat with this imagery here. So you can kind of use this to kind of refine one another. So what changes are we looking at over the next week? Let's take a look. We see the cold core low over the Gulf of California kind of wrap up in this area. Looks like a new system gets started in Texas. Then we see another plume of this Pineapple Express coming into Oregon on the 15th. That works down the coast on the 15th and 16th. Then we see another shot coming in on the 19th and 20th. Then it looks like those major troughs that are working through here after the 18th and 19th, we can see here that they don't have a whole lot of moisture to work with. So that should give California a little bit of relief after the next week or so. All right, so I think we're ready to head into the GFS, and let me get this set up here. Okay, so just starting out real quick, East Coast system is out of the picture. That moved out pretty quickly. So for the next day or so, they're mostly going to be affected by this next frontal wave moving up the front here. See the warm air advection right there over Pennsylvania and New York. And that'll develop into this winter storm. Looks like just north of New York City into Massachusetts and up near Albany and Rochester, getting a little bit of snow there, going into Sunday and Monday. Then after that, cold air advection works in and things start shutting down on Monday as far as the bad weather. Okay, then after that it looks good on Tuesday. So elsewhere around the country, let's see here. And before I start on that, let me just take one more look at chat here. Calio Delphi asks, do I use temperature to find fronts and dry lines? Yeah, temperature is the primary indicator of your frontal position, but I'll use other indicators such as moisture, temperature changes, weather changes, dew point, wind shifts, and that kind of thing. Melody Loves Jesus is here, keeps hearing about the mini ice age. Nothing like that here. Maybe we'll see what happens a little bit later this month. Felix Lopez is here. Precipitation 200% of normal in some areas. Yeah, it's quite an event here. Yeah, I appreciate the comments there. And Caio asked, does the dew point help to indicate where the dry line is? Yeah, for dry line, dew point is the primary indicator of where the dry line is. In fact, you're not supposed to use anything else except a moisture function, such as dew point or a mixing ratio. Don't use relative humidity. Use dew point or mixing ratio on that. But we'll probably get into more detail on that when we have our next dry line situation. So moving forward, let's see here. Here comes our front coming in from the north. See strong pressure gradient, strong pressure increases behind this front here, along with decrease in thickness. So lower thickness values up to the north coming southward. And then out to the west we see the cold core low and a very kind of fuzzed out 850 millibar, or let me try that again, a very spread out thickness pattern. So I'm just going to drop that in the middle here for our frontal position. And let's see, for tomorrow's webcast, we're going to be looking at this pattern here. Polar high moving into Kansas and Nebraska. Pressure rises in Texas and New Mexico. And the thickness contours are dropping off across Texas and New Mexico. So we're going to have the front moving through Texas and New Mexico tomorrow. Just building on in right there. And then the Pacific portion is going to be way back here over the Gulf of California. And there's the cold core low. And now we're starting to develop this precipitation. This is due to upslope flow and flow over the frontal surface. Now keep in mind, tomorrow night here, when we do the webcast, this is the chart for that. And you can see at the surface, front from New Orleans to Corpus Christi to Chihuahua. Now I'm going to show you the 850 millibar front. And this is also for the same time. So what do we have here? We've got the front a little bit further north here. And remember, the surface front is located further south. So what's happening is we've got flow up and over the front, which is basically isentropic lift, and that's going to be developing further as we get the cyclogenesis out to the west. So you watch the wind field, see how they're coming around to the south and increasing up and over the frontal surface. So that's going to really enhance the upslope, the isentropic lift over the frontal surface, and really get some of the precip going out in this area over the next couple of days. So that's what we see here, precipitation building in there in West Texas. A little bit of rain and freezing rain in the higher elevations. Snow and freezing rain in the higher elevations. And that'll finally push out of Texas on Wednesday. So it's going to be kind of a slow-moving system. Cold core system is way out here. The main convective system is closer to the baroclinicity out over the Houston area. Here's a bit of a backdoor front coming into the northern plains. Then things kind of quiet down. We've got this lee side trough pattern, and then we get active out in the Pacific. So by Saturday and Sunday, we've got the first Pacific system moving inland. Not a whole lot of rain with that, looks like. But then by Sunday and Monday, yeah, things get busy once again out in California here. So there's our next shot there on Monday. Very strong frontal system coming in. Patterns will be looking kind of like this here. And then we'll see that moving through the Rockies on Tuesday. Another system coming through Wednesday and Thursday. And GFS will think that this will have more of an impact on the Great Plains on the 24th, 25th. So there's our systems with that. Not showing a whole lot of precipitation at this time, but that could definitely change later on with the next few models. Depends on how much moisture we bring north out of the Gulf of Mexico. Then after that, kind of a cooling trend. And then we get to the end of the model run. So anyway, that's your half hour of forecasting. I'm probably about done here. Calio's asking the name of the type of weather map that shows temperature, dew point, wind barbs. Weather analysis, synoptic chart. I don't know, it could be one of those. Brett Dean, storm spotter in South Jersey, been having minor snowstorms. Yeah, just missing the big time nor'easter. Anyway, you'll have that one shot of that next storm coming in. Let me see if I can back that up. Yeah, there's your next system, southern Jersey, looking pretty mostly rainy. It's like our snow line will mostly be confined up towards the northern New York area right up there. And things should get better after Monday and Tuesday. Okay, I think that's about all I got for tonight. Appreciate you all watching. And if you have any comments or suggestions, you can email or leave a comment on the videos once they get posted. Anyway, thanks, and we'll see you again tomorrow, and I think it will probably be at 10 o'clock once again. I think we're going to have company, so I'll probably have to postpone it, but I will see you tomorrow. Anyway, have a good evening.